His fingers, elegant and slender, landed right on my most sensitive nerve. Dr. Anthony Robbins, my psychiatrist, had hands that were criminally beautiful. Even just holding a pen to evaluate a patient, the delicate pink hue on his knuckles was distracting. In a quiet, clinical voice, he asked, "What symptoms are you experiencing?" I murmured, "So pretty. I want to touch." He caught on immediately and frowned. "Are you mentally ill?" I glanced at the form in his hand, grinning lazily. "Obviously. That's why I'm here. Dr. Robbins, go ahead, cure me." Later, I realized the one who was actually sick might just be him. A gaudy red Ferrari pulled up in front of the clinic, performing a showy tailspin before it stopped. Pedestrians turned their heads, probably wondering who the hell shows up at a psychiatrist's office like they're attending a movie premiere. I rolled down the window and stuck out my head, my cotton candy pink hair waving in the wind. "Hey, what a coincidence. Looks like you're all sick too." Cue the barrage of eye rolls and curses. I clicked my tongue, rolled the window back up, and leaned against the seat, the smile wiped clean off my face. Between my fingers was a business card, one that Dad had shoved into my hand 2 hours ago. His voice still echoed in my ears, tinged with vague reluctance. "Son, Aunt Anna found you another therapist. He's well known in the field. Only sees clients when he feels like it. She pulled a lot of strings just to get you this card. Your appointment's at 2 this afternoon. Just go see him." It was the third time this month someone told me something like that. I'd heard it for years now. The only difference this time? This shrink seemed like he had quite the ego. Only takes patients when he feels like it, please. Probably just didn't get paid enough. Smirking, I lifted the card. My fingers brushed over the neat text at the top. Dr. Robbins. Minimalistic, no frilly heart logos like most therapy clinics slap on. Definitely no heart in him. Some therapist. I pushed open the clinic door, utterly disinterested, until I saw him. Then, for no good reason, I went completely silent. He was too pretty. Pretty shouldn't be used to describe a man. But the moment I saw him, the word nearly fell out of my mouth. He sat behind a desk and barely looked up, eyes flat and used to stares like mine. "Sit," he said simply. I averted my gaze and returned to my usual swagger. Hands stuffed in my pockets, I strolled over and plopped into the seat. "Please, I'm not new to this. I've seen it all. So what if he's good looking? Big deal. Just caught me off guard for a second. Don't be dramatic." But then I found myself staring again. He reached up, casually plucking a pen from the chest pocket of his white coat. "I'm your psychiatrist, Dr. Robbins," he said in a low, even tone. It was a basic gesture, but it was strangely satisfying to watch. His hands were just like him, refined and unfairly attractive. Or maybe I had a hand kink. Even the bones of his fingers, gripping the pen, had that faint pink undertone. "What symptoms have you been experiencing?" he asked, tearing a form from the pad and glancing up. Maybe he caught the look in my eyes, because his brow furrowed slightly. His other hand tapped lightly on the desk. He repeated, more coldly this time, "Symptoms?" My gaze ping-ponged between the hand holding the pen and the one tapping the desk. My brain was spiraling. This was getting dangerous. "So pretty. I want to touch." I hadn't meant to say it out loud, but I did. Anthony froze for a split second, then recognized the inappropriate implication in my stare. He looked thoroughly disgusted. "Are you mentally ill?" I blinked, snapped back into focus, and leaned forward with a smirk, eyeing the form in his hand. "Oh yeah. Why else would I be here? Dr. Robbins, fix me." And that's how I got kicked out of his office. He hurled the evaluation form at my face and practically slammed the door behind me. "Get out." That was the only word he gave me. I peeled the crumpled paper off my face, wadded it up, and stuffed it in my pocket. Staring at the shut door, I scratched my head in frustration. "I'll be back. Just you wait." Back at the Walker estate, Aunt Anna was sitting primly on the sofa, as if she'd been waiting for me. I scoffed quietly. I knew exactly how this game worked. "You're back," she said without even looking at me. When Dad's not around, she can't even be bothered to pretend to like me. "Aunt Anna, I said with a lazy smirk. How did the evaluation go? She asked, standing up, visibly anxious. She always got a kick out of finding new therapists for me. Claimed it was, for my own good. The results? I toyed with the wrinkled paper in my pocket, lips curling into something unreadable. And then I gave her the one answer she'd never expected. The doctor said I'm sick. And then some. He even told me I was seriously sick. Aunt Anna's face lit up with barely concealed joy, before she caught herself and quickly toned it down. Oh. But her excitement couldn't be completely hidden. She rattled off questions. Did he write an official diagnosis? What condition is it? It's okay, you know. Her aging eyes sparkled. She licked her lips, pretending to console me. Dudley, you're still part of the Walker family. Please don't do anything drastic. Suicide might feel like relief in the moment, but... Her voice was gentle, persuasive, like poison coated in honey. I almost laughed out loud. But my expression remained perfectly neutral as I said, with a touch of regret. No official diagnosis. Dr. Robbins didn't seem too eager to take me on. Aunt Anna barely hid her amusement. She rubbed her hands together and offered, maybe it's too serious. Can't blame the doctor for being cautious. True enough. I rubbed the evaluation slip in my pocket. My mind wandered to Anthony's frown as he scribbled, severe case, in irritated handwriting, then flung the paper in my face. His fingers, long, pale, perfect, were too damn attractive. Don't worry, Aunt Anna said, unable to contain her glee now that things were finally going her way. Dr. Robbins will take the case. I gave her a faint smile. Good to hear. Anthony called the next day, just before noon. Honestly, I wasn't surprised. The Walker family had enough pull in City A to bend even the most celebrated psychiatrist. You people from the Walker family, are you all insane? I ignored the chill in his tone and cheekily switched the Walker family to me. I raised an eyebrow, smirking. Dr. Robbins, I didn't know you cared so much. All right, fine. I'll come in for treatment. He hung up on me with a snap. I casually grabbed my coat, unbothered. At the dining table, I glanced over at the 3 people eating and gave Dad a nod. Got something to do. I'm heading out. Dad frowned. Skipping lunch again? Surprisingly, Aunt Anna didn't fan the flames this time. She even tried smoothing things over, clearly knew where I was going. Then there was Colin Walker, my so-called older brother, sneering as usual. All you do is mess around. That ridiculous hair. Total embarrassment to the Walker family. Dad's frown deepened. Colin. Aunt Anna glanced at Dad's face, then put on her fake scolding voice. Dudley's still your brother, you know? Colin rolled his eyes. I found the whole scene oddly funny. At the door, I turned around for one last look. They'd already changed the subject. Dad was smiling again, relaxed. He even patted Colin on the shoulder. Colin lifted his chin, full of smug pride. A perfect picture of a happy little trio. Even if I was used to it, something in my chest dropped. But when I got to the clinic, my mood bounced right back. Pretty fingers. Dr. Robbins. Dr. Robbins. Your favorite patient is back. I swaggered through the door after parking, pushing into his office without knocking. When I saw what was happening inside, I raised a brow and grinned. Were you trying to escape me, Dr. Robbins? Anthony had just taken off his white coat and was reaching for his black jacket on the coat rack. At my voice, he froze for a split second before turning around. The dark fabric made his hands look even paler. I couldn't help but stare. He glanced at me, then calmly slipped into the coat and replied coldly, "Don't flatter yourself." It was then I noticed, Anthony, unlike most desk-bound professionals, didn't have that classic hunched-over posture. On the contrary, he stood tall and straight, back perfectly aligned from neck to spine. I shook myself and followed. So, where were you going? Anthony glanced at his watch with that ever-stoic face. Work hours are from 2 to 5. In other words, it's break time, get lost. No clue what Aunt Anna had said to him, but clearly Anthony had resigned himself to tolerating me, at least during business hours. I leaned in to peek at his watch. 12:20. Even his wrist looked good. The silver-black watch face only made his skin seem whiter. Right next to his wrist bone, a tiny black mole. My fingers itched. I wanted to touch it. Out of nowhere, my head tilted forward into his line of sight. Anthony hadn't expected the move. He flinched hard and yanked his hand away. What the hell are you doing? Overreaction much? We're both guys. What's the big deal about a little touch? Swallowing my irritation for the sake of future hand bonding, I raised both hands innocently and stepped back. See? I'm not a threat. Friendship through fingers takes time. Dr. Robbins, how about lunch on me? I blinked at him. Anthony didn't budge. Come on, show a little compassion for your patient. I kept blinking and leaned in closer. Still nothing. Dr. Robbins, I blinked so hard my eye muscles twitched. I was standing so close that my pupils couldn't even focus anymore. Crap, I was going cross-eyed. Anthony must have freaked out, because he finally snapped. He pushed my forehead away and strode off without looking back. I took that as permission and skipped after him. After lunch, I was feeling a lot closer to Dr. Robbins. Like, not just a little bit closer. On the way back to his office, I kept inching toward him mid-conversation. Dr. Robbins, want to grab dinner together too? I shuffled a bit closer. He said nothing, just kept walking. Dr. Robbins, is mental illness even curable? Another step sideways. Still nothing. Not even a glance. I stole a look at the space between our arms. One fist width apart. First the arms, then the hands. Progress was happening. Pleased with my pace, I leaned closer to ask another question. Dr. Robbins? His hand smacked into my forehead before I even finished. I looked up. Anthony's face was cold. Icy cold. If you still want treatment, get the hell away from me. And then he stormed off, no room for argument. I stood there, stunned. Took me a good moment to process what just happened. Damn it. When had I ever been treated like this? I stared at Anthony's retreating back, seething. Then turned and kicked the nearest tree as hard as I could. But I kicked too hard. Lost my balance. Nearly gave the passers-by a live demo of a split. Damn. I quickly glanced over my shoulder at Anthony's retreating figure, thankfully, almost out of sight. I let out a breath of relief. Then I got mad all over again. Anthony, you're done for. After that, get lost. I decided I wasn't going to pretend to be polite anymore. I kicked open the door to Anthony's office, swaggered in, flopped dramatically into the chair, and threw my long legs right up on his desk. My dusty soles almost touched his suit. I wiggled my toes at him. 2 o'clock. Time for my session. Dr. Robbins. Anthony stared at me over the tops of my shoes, eyes dark and void of warmth. My legs froze instinctively, their presence suddenly too loud. It hit me a second later. Damn, he almost scared me. I scowled. Not having that. Just as I was about to wiggle my toes in protest. Take them down, he said flatly. I thought about it. I still needed something from him. A wise man doesn't bicker over pride. Fine, I'll take them down. I glared, very stubbornly, as I dropped my feet to the ground. The heels slammed against the floor with a loud thud. Happy now? I tilted my chin up, full of challenge. Anthony gave me a long look, then suddenly, without any warmth, let out a soft laugh. It was colder than the wind in mid-autumn. I was still trying to decode what that smile meant when he said, Dudley. His voice was mild. Too mild. Don't bother. I have no interest in spoiled little rich boys like you. He leaned in slightly as he said it, elbows on the desk, eyes steady. Then he leaned back and sat down again. With a face that pretty, paired with that lazy little smirk, the moment gave me mild vertigo. But once the words sank in, all I could think was, what the hell? Who's interested in you, pretty boy? I'm interested in your hands. I'm not gay. I snapped. Anthony calmly pulled a psychological questionnaire from the side drawer and tossed it in front of me. You'd better not be, he said blandly. Fill this out. I looked down. Sitani. An old friend. Didn't take me long. I filled it out, passed it back, and then got handed another one, MMPI. Anthony studied the results with narrowed eyes, then started asking a few probing questions. I answered half-heartedly. I'd done these tests a dozen times over the years. They were boring as hell. As he tapped his fingers rhythmically on the desk, absently while thinking, I took the chance to stare. Still those fingers. So long. So white. So pretty. Dudley, Anthony said suddenly, snapping his fingers back and pulling me out of my trance. I reluctantly looked away, leaned back, and met his gaze. Your initial assessments, your behavior, cognition, speech, even physical condition, don't suggest any personality disorder, he said calmly. So why are you here? He paused. In other words, why do you think you're sick? No one had ever asked me that. Good question. Why would a perfectly sane person keep showing up at psych clinics? Maybe, I curled my lip in a crooked smile. Maybe Dr. Robbins misdiagnosed me. After all, from the day I was born, I'd heard the same refrain. Dudley, mental illness runs in families. Your mother had it. You might too. Aunt Anna and your dad are just looking out for you. Early detection is key. You hear that enough times, and yeah, sometimes you start to doubt. Maybe I don't have anything wrong with me? But if that's true, then what the hell has Aunt Anna been doing all these years, dragging me to shrinks? And why have I, even as annoyed as I was, never once refused? Maybe I was just trying to prove I was normal. A silent protest. One that no one ever heard. Muted rage, dressed up as compliance. Dudley. Anthony's voice cut through, low and magnetic. I jerked my head away. Plop. Something hit the desk with a soft sound. I blinked down. A single tear fell right off my nose and landed square on the test form, blooming into a small wet stain. Then, I heard him chuckle. God damn it. If embarrassment could be bottled, mine today could debut as a boy band. Dudley, your results are clear, he said after a pause. There's nothing wrong with you. You don't need to come back. He capped his pen with a soft snap. That was my cue to leave. None of your business, I said, digging deeper into the chair like I was made of bricks. Anthony gave me a glance, then calmly reached for hand sanitizer and scrubbed his hands, twice, before walking out. Suit yourself. And just like that, he was gone. I was left alone in the oversized office, with nothing but the wind through the windows and a withered leaf caught on the sill. So tragic. What kind of therapist just walks out like that? Unprofessional. I scoffed. Okay, maybe I wasn't crazy. But I had money. And money could get me back into Dr. Robbins' orbit. At least Mom wasn't wrong about that. Everyone loves money. It didn't take much effort to find out where he lived. The moment he saw me at the door, he slammed it in my face. Aha! I latched onto the doorframe like a dying opera singer, wailing dramatically. Anthony's face was pure thunder. He looked at the gap between my arm and the still open door, then at the neighbor lady who had popped out after hearing my scream. He swore under his breath, grabbed me by the collar, and yanked me inside. Stop screaming. Ah! I blinked up at him, flushed with excitement. His hand. Anthony's hand was over my mouth. His palm smelled faintly of antiseptic, clean, crisp. Was that orange-scented? Reverently, I cupped both hands over the one covering my lips. Defined knuckles, cool fingertips. I sighed with pleasure, eyes fluttering shut. Touch achieved. The moment didn't last. Suddenly, my collar was yanked forward, and I was slammed against the wall. Eyes wide, I stared up at Anthony in shock. You're disgusting, he hissed, teeth clenched in fury. I opened my mouth to explain, but before I could speak, he shoved me aside like garbage. Then, storming to the shoe cabinet near the door, he pumped the hand sanitizer dispenser, again and again. He scrubbed furiously. The backs of his hands, between the fingers, every place I'd touched. He rubbed so hard his skin turned red, like he was trying to peel it off. I pressed myself against the wall, silent. Was I really that disgusting? I'm sure I have a hand fetish, but come on. Get out. Anthony snapped, voice low and seething. In that moment, the calm and polished Dr. Robbins' exterior cracked wide open. What spilled out was raw, mean and violent at the core. Why the hell was he so hostile? I just wanted to touch his hand. Hell, I would have settled for looking at it. I pinched the black card in my pocket. I think I figured it out. Without bothering to explain, I took out the card and handed it to him, all confidence and poise. Here, I said coolly. No limit. You just need to... Smith. Anthony slapped the card right out of my hand. He grabbed my jaw, his fingers pressing hard. What do you think I am? Some toy you throw money at whenever you're bored? Save your sick games. Get out. My lips stung. I hadn't even said anything yet, and he'd already shoved me away again. And of course, he went back to his sanitizer, scrubbing like a madman. Over and over. Touch, scrub, repeat. Seriously? Does this guy need therapy? I wasn't trying to keep you, I muttered, taking a deep breath. I just wanted you to let me see your hands. Like every day. Maybe pose them a little for me. Holding drinks. Typing. Slicing sandwiches. That kind of thing. Anthony froze. His face twisted into something unreadable. Then he ground out 2 words. You freak. Ah. Take your damn card, he growled, snatching it from the floor and chucking it at my chest. And leave. And that's how I ended up on the street. My rejected card. And my crushed dignity. I dragged myself home in utter defeat, dreams of perfect hands shattered once again. When I walked into the living room, the whole picture-perfect family trio was on the sofa. I tried to force a polite smile like always, but today I didn't have it in me. You're back, Aunt Anna said, wearing her usual so much on to say but won't expression. Dad looked pissed. Colin looked smug. Figures. Guess word got back that I'd messed up again. Dudley, Dad said, trying to keep his cool. Have I been too soft on you? Trying to bribe a doctor to fake a diagnosis. Do you think that's okay? And that hair. How many times have I told you to dye it back? Come here. The hair. Fin. They've been on me for years about it. Refusing to change it was my silent rebellion. My own little proof that I was just me. I lowered my head and stayed quiet, though a bitter smile tugged at the corner of my lips. I walked over. I had a pretty good idea what had happened. Aunt Anna must have asked Anthony to write up a psych diagnosis for me. He refused. Said I was fine. And that just didn't sit well with her. Over the years, it's always been the same. If Aunt Anna said something, Dad would never listen to my side. He'd explode first, ask questions never. Just like now, his hand raised, ready to strike. But this time, I caught his wrist. That was the surprise. Everyone froze. Especially him. For the first time, I saw shock on his face. What? Surprised I fought back. He muttered, finally lowering his arm. Maybe he was too stunned to lash out this time. Go to your brother's company. Reflect there. I'm freezing your cards. Clever move. Dad always knew where to hit hardest. And in my case, that 7-inch weak spot was money. Just like Mom. But this time, I didn't give in. I smiled. Just a little. Whatever. And just like that, I was kicked out again. Dudley, your father is only angry because he cares. Just bring back a diagnosis. Sweetie, I know you're scared. But a lot of people go to the 5th hospital. After 2 years of treatment, they're better. When you're ready, your dad and I will come pick you up. Aunt Anna handed me a suitcase, her voice gentle, almost tender. The 5th hospital. The one for the mentally ill. That's where Mom is. Go on, Aunt Anna said with a soft smile. Everything you need is inside. And just like that, I understood. From now on, the only 2 places I'd ever be allowed to exist were the asylum or out on the streets. Well, after all that, leaving felt like the only appropriate choice. But where could I even go? As I turned to leave, Aunt Anna's gentle voice floated behind me. Oh, by the way, your mother's birthday is next month. Don't forget to visit her. Dr. Robbins. Take me in, will you? I was perched on my suitcase, legs kicking slightly as I rolled myself across the floor and came to a stop by Anthony's office chair, resting my chin in my hand and gazing at him with all the pitiful longing I could muster. He turned his head away, eyes glued to a medical file like I didn't even exist. I shifted on my suitcase and glided over to his other side. Dr. Robbins, you are partly responsible for this, you know. You can't just abandon me. Anthony shot me a look like I'd grown an extra head. What does this have to do with me? I blinked at him innocently. Well, first you diagnosed me as mentally ill, and then you said I wasn't. TSK. Of course they think I bribed you to fake the results. Anthony looked genuinely bewildered. Is there some noble mental illness you were supposed to inherit or something? What? Your whole family's just devastated you're not insane? I gave him a tired little smile. You're not wrong. If I were mentally ill, Colin would officially become the Walker family's one and only heir. If the crazy woman's son turned out crazy too, Aunt Anna could sleep better at night. It was like a secret competition that had lasted for years. And finally, they'd won. And me? What am I in all of this? Anthony let out a short, awkward cough and looked away. Crying won't help, he muttered. It was only then I realized my eyes were probably red again. Humiliating. But when I caught the way Anthony looked, stoic on the outside but clearly uncomfortable, I had an idea. One of the very few things my mom ever taught me. Sometimes, weakness gets you further than strength. I'd laughed at her then. You mean like how Aunt Anna manipulates Dad with her fake tears? I didn't want to be that. I swore I wouldn't. But well, I looked at Anthony, lips curling in the faintest, most practiced smile. A second later, I let my eyes droop sadly, dragging a finger beneath them like I was wiping away a tear. My voice came out hoarse, pitiful. Dr. Robbins, I don't have money. My cards are all frozen. I was really getting into it now. If you just accepted that dumb card, I'd be living in a presidential suite right now. But nope. This is your fault. Anthony's expression darkened. Shut it. Stop whining. He flicked a card across the desk at me like it was nothing. Take this. Get a place, far away. I stared. Wow. So heartless. No, I said, clutching the card without taking it. You have to take me in. He glanced at me, letting out a cold chuckle. And why would I do that? But, come on, brain, think. Because I'm begging you? I said weakly. But even I didn't believe it. I dropped my head, sighing. Without the Walker name, I was nothing. What was I supposed to bargain with now? Sure, I'd secretly started a few small companies over the years, but compared to the Walker family, I was nothing. Soon, I wouldn't even be able to afford $1 million car, just one of those cheap $1 million ones. No more black cards. No more anything. Forget it, I muttered, head bowed. I'll just sleep on the street. Winter's coming soon anyway. The ground by the trash bins isn't that cold. I gave him a pale little smile, grabbed my suitcase, and shuffled toward the door. One last glance at his hands resting on the desk. Goodbye, dream hands. Shame your owner's such a cold-blooded bastard. We were never meant to be. Kept my head down. Couldn't even see the floor anymore. My dumb pink bangs had drooped with grief. No one in the world understood my pain. Wait, Anthony's voice came from behind just as I touched the doorknob. I spun around, eyes wide with hope. He turned his head slightly, like it was no big deal. I need a housekeeper. I nodded furiously. I can cook, clean. I'm so good at it. Young master. This is your version of cooking? This is you, cleaning? Anthony gave me a slow blink, eyes narrowing. Heh. I raised both hands sheepishly, letting out a very awkward laugh. We both looked down at the open microwave and the exploded egg that had decorated half the kitchen. Bits of shell. Egg goo. Total war zone. I laughed again, dry and hollow. Turns out, when you're that embarrassed, laughing is a reflex. And just when I thought I could redeem myself, I stepped into the kitchen with a mop, tripped on the water, and body slammed Anthony to the ground. Needless to say, I was immediately thrown out. Now I was crouched outside the kitchen, hands gripping the door frame, forehead and eyes just barely peeking through. Inside, Anthony was silently cleaning like a man possessed. Dr. Robbins, I called carefully. There's still hope for me, right? Please don't fire me. He was shirtless now, totally expressionless as he scrubbed, mopped, wiped the oven. His back muscles were surprisingly toned, sleek lines flexing with every movement. Did not match his pretty face at all. After everything was spotless, he washed his hands. Then sanitized them. Then washed them again. Such a germaphobe. He grabbed the shirt I'd ruined, still sticky with egg bits, and headed for the bathroom. As he passed me, he muttered flatly, "You're hopeless." Translation: Get ready to pack your bags. Anthony. Dr. Robbins. I crouched outside the bathroom, whispering through the steam-fogged glass. The water running inside roared like a waterfall. I wasn't even sure he could hear me. But the thought that Anthony would kick me out the second he finished his shower. I pressed my whole face to the bathroom door, sulking. "Dr. Robbins." Swoosh. The door flung open without warning, and I fell to my knees in the perfect pose for a formal apology. Before me, a pair of damp, freshly showered feet. I slowly looked up, then up, only to find nothing. Anthony's long bathrobe was wrapped all the way up to his neck, his expression wary, his eyes cold. "What are you doing?" I braced one hand on the floor, raised the other in a clumsy wave, and smiled up. "Hi. Fancy seeing you here." "You were trying to peek at me showering?" he growled, eyes narrowing with suspicion. "Forget it. Don't waste your time. Do your job. Be a housekeeper. Otherwise, get out." Honestly, at this point, I felt like I got kicked out of somewhere every single day. From his place. From home. From my own life. I wanted to yell "Screw you," and also "Can you not be so full of yourself?" But instead, my eyes fell on the hand gripping his towel, and I just nodded, defeated. Okay. I didn't want to leave. Didn't want to be alone in some hotel. Maybe it was because of those beautiful hands. Or maybe because next month was getting close. I was scared. Afraid I'd blow up the kitchen again. Anthony ended up doing most of the cooking. And somehow, as I kept finding new ways to accidentally touch his hands, his tolerance gradually increased. From 1 full bottle of sanitizer per touch, to half a bottle, then 5 pumps, 1 pump, eventually 0. Progress. "Dr. Robbins, don't be such a germaphobe," I'd say, waving my freshly washed hands. Then I'd steal a quick pinch of his pinky finger on my way past. And maybe a slice of cucumber too. Anthony stopped reacting altogether. By the end of the month, I was even shamelessly hugging my pillow, climbing into bed with him. He just turned his back and tried to sleep. I wanted to laugh. But I couldn't. Every time I visited Mom at the 5th hospital, I came back unsettled. I couldn't sleep. Lying on my side, I watched Anthony's silhouette through the play of light and shadow. The neon signs outside leaked through the gap in the curtains, casting a silver beam across the nape of his neck. I reached out, couldn't resist gently scratching at that faint glow. Anthony jolted upright, instinct snapping into place. He twisted my wrist behind me, painfully hard. The bones in my wrist screamed. My whole body froze. "Anthony." My voice was small. I didn't dare raise it. "It's me. Dudley." His eyes focused. Clarity returned like a wave of cold water. He flinched back, releasing me with a sharp breath. My wrist dropped and then, ow, ow, ow. It hurts. It hurts. It hurts. It's broken. From the hallway came loud, impatient banging. A man's voice shouted, "Bro, could you not scream at night? Some of us work in the morning. Tone it the hell down." I saw my chance and screamed toward the door. "Help, Anthony." Anthony clamped a hand over my mouth in the dark, clearly panicking. Footsteps faded. Then, without warning, he grabbed my wrist again, twisted it outward, crack, and popped it back into place. I gasped, eyes wide, face contorted in pain. Wait? The pain ebbed away like water down a drain. He let go and looked at me. "Not broken," he said simply, fingers brushing over my skin. The moonlight through the curtains sliced the bed in two, a sharp silver divide. I held my wrist up, turning it in the light to examine it. No swelling. No discoloration. From the shadows, Anthony watched me quietly. "I'm sorry," he said at last. I froze, genuinely surprised, and looked up. For the first time, I noticed how deep his eyes were. With something inside them I couldn't name. He turned away before I could ask. Standing up, heading for the door, he paused. "Pizza tomorrow?" My eyes lit up. Anthony's cooking was divine, and pizza was my favorite. He usually only made it when I begged. But then I remembered. Forget it. Tomorrow, I had to visit Mom. I couldn't eat. He froze slightly. "Okay. I'll sleep in the other room. Good night." The thought of seeing Mom again settled over me like a storm cloud. I didn't ask why he was sleeping elsewhere. Didn't ask anything at all. I just rolled over and pulled the blanket to my chin. Good night. The fifth hospital hadn't changed. Still their world. Still alien to me. Haha, the world's ending. The earth's gonna blow. A man in a striped gown hung upside down on a pull-up bar, his head bobbing as he cackled. "Zeus will split up every pair of lovers," he whispered, a face, smeared in bright red lipstick, appearing out of nowhere. No matter how many times I came, it still startled me. Startled again. "Boring," the woman giggled, barefoot as she hid beside the front gate, waiting to scare the next poor soul. "Your head's a soccer ball. I'll kick it. Into the mall." A little boy bounced around, kicking at the air. A nurse led me through the halls, stopping at a small room. Compared to the rest, my mother seemed almost lucid. Which made it worse. Or maybe better. I wasn't sure anymore. "Mom." The woman by the window turned around, long hair falling over her shoulders. Today, she was present. "You came." I tried to make conversation. "Feeling any better lately?" She didn't answer. Just smiled and waved me over. "Come here, baby." That name, baby, I hadn't heard in years. And it hit me like a time machine. Like being whisked back to a dreamy afternoon in childhood. Back when she wasn't completely gone. When she used to laugh and hold me and call me that. "Baby." I smiled, walked over, crouched in front of her. The slap landed like ice, clean and brutal, shattering that dream in an instant. I turned my face, tasted blood on my lip. Forced a smile. Watched the soft smile on her face twist into a sneer. "How dare you live? Your father never loved us. He only loved her. You should have died with me. You think acting like a dog around him will make him love you? Dudley." She leaned in, cheek pressed to mine, eyes manic and wild. "Are you so starved for love it'll kill you? Then one day, you'll end up just like me. A lunatic. Because no one loves you. Just like me," my mom whispered suddenly, tears streaming down her face. She grabbed a fistful of my hair and pressed my head against the window so we could look outside together. The boy kicking at the air. The man hanging upside down. The woman grinning wide, barefoot and hiding near the gate, waiting to scare someone new. It all looked like a surreal stage play, loud and chaotic, yet hollow inside. "See," she said softly. "One day you'll be like them too. A lunatic. They're your kind." They're not. And I never will be. "I might not come back again," I said, gently taking her hand away from my head. She froze. Then began to scream. I used to think I stayed in the Walker family for the money. Turns out, it was for the scraps of affection I mistook for fatherly love. How pathetic. I exhaled, the alcohol on my breath blooming into a cloud in the winter night. It was cold now, deep into the season. Outside a shop, a little boy clung to his father's pant leg, begging for a toy race car in the window. His dad laughed and ruffled his hair. All right. We'll get it and then we'll go home." Where was my home? My father had either completely forgotten about me, or maybe he never remembered me to begin with. I looked away, kept walking with no direction, taking another swig from my nearly empty bottle. Suddenly, I really wanted Anthony's pizza. Anthony's place had a code lock. I squinted and tapped in the numbers. Unlocked. The door creaked open, and a heavy scent of alcohol hit me straight in the face. I blinked, holding up my bottle. Wait, was that smell coming from me? Fumbling in the dark, I reached for the light switch. Before I could find it, a tall shadow moved, and a hand clamped down on my shoulder, shoving me hard against the door. My head spun from the impact. Who? A hand grabbed my chin, forcing my face up. That citrus sanitizer scent filled my nose. I froze, lips parting. Then the kiss landed. Fierce. Unrelenting. The rest of my words were drowned in heat and wine and breath. Anthony. Just how much had he been drinking? At some point, his arm looped around me, kicking open the bedroom door with one smooth motion. His voice was low, rough, almost broken. Why'd you come back? I thought you were gone. Pizza got cold. In the tangle of limbs and tangled sheets, Anthony bit down on my ear with a sudden ferocity. Do you think I'm beautiful, little prince? Beautiful. That was all I could think. From the moment we met, I'd thought so. His face, his hands, every inch of him. Anthony laughed darkly. He thought so too. Who? I gasped, breath hitching. My adoptive father. I frowned. He said I was beautiful. When I was 17, he'd touch me while I was asleep. More than once. Anthony's hand wandered lower. My eyes widened, my voice vanished. The obsessive hand-washing. The disgust with touch. The hair-trigger reactions. It all made sense now. Little prince, he murmured, pushing up the hem of my shirt. You like me, 'cause I'm pretty. You want to use me too, don't you? I shook my head. I just wanted to touch your hands. His fingers slid in and my voice broke. Shame, he whispered almost kindly. I beat the hell out of him. And you? His lips brushed my ear. You're gonna get it worse. I came back for pizza. I ended up being the pizza. Tears welled in my eyes. I'm hungry. Anthony. Be good, he murmured, breath warm against my skin. I'm not full yet. Right before my consciousness gave out, I heard him whisper. Every time you touch me, it's not disgust I feel. It's a shiver. You drive me mad, little prince. And then even softer. Came back. That means you're not allowed to leave anymore. You started this. I finally got my pizza the next morning. Draped in a cotton pajama shirt one size too big, I leaned against the kitchen doorframe, eyes half-lidded, watching him work. The wind outside played gently with the curtains. It was peaceful. Anthony was rinsing the toppings, fingers pinching bits of pepper and onion. One hand held the board steady while the other chopped, quick, precise, and beautiful. Droplets of water clung to his knuckles, catching the light. He was back to being the calm, collected Dr. Robbins. Dudley, he said suddenly, voice low. Yeah. He paused, turned slightly to look at me, not directly but at my wrist. The one he'd dislocated. That night. Aren't you afraid of me? His voice was measured, deliberate. I'm not well. OCD. PTSD. Something deeper. My hand in my pocket trembled. Not from fear. Just remembering that 17-year-old version of him. My chest ached. I smiled and squinted at him. So what? You kicking me out again? Anthony looked at me for a long time. Then said with great difficulty, No. I'm asking you to stay. I'll get better. Just don't leave. Ding. The oven chimed. A soft, warm scent of cheese and bread filled the room. The crust was golden. I tilted my head. I'm hungry, Anthony. Next time, make it faster. Next time. Sometimes it's a simple phrase. Other times, it's a confession. A future. With you in it. Anthony smiled. Okay. We weren't great with words. But every glance we shared said the one thing we couldn't. I love you. The end.
Thanks for stopping by. Subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any new videos.